In today's video, I want us to talk about some new shocking revelation, shocking evidence that I have discovered in relation to the 3 police officers that went missing and were found at Hinops River, right? So I want to take you into a journey. There is a GPS information that I want us to talk about. It is out there. I'm going to share with you. But for me to make it make sense to you, we will first have to do or read or go through the sensors that are found in the vehicle, right? 1, 2. I'm going to tell you a story. You know, have you seen a situation where a person is driving and as they are driving in an area where there are no cameras, they get involved in an accident, and then in no time there's an ambulance, there's police, there's everybody there. Have you ever asked yourself the following question? How did they knew that this person is involved in an accident at this specific location? Well, it turns out that the information that I'm about to share, I'm just giving you the scoop ahead. When you are involved in an accident, if the car, especially the latest brand, if that car has the sensors that I'm about to name, it is programmed to report to police as well as emergency services. If possible, even tow trucks. Depends with the country. But in South Africa, we will expect them to report to the police as well as ambulance. So it is programmed that way. I know where you're going. Don't go. Come back. I know what you're thinking. Don't go. Come back. We will talk about GPS evidence and how that evidence is stored. What I'm about to share with you today is very interesting. But let's start here. How many trackers were found on that car or were installed on that car? Number 1, the bonnet of this car is hard itself and it can't be flat like this by the water, okay? Number 1. Number 2 is the sensor. This car has a sensor all over its body and can break itself when censored an object or wall. We'll speak about that. 3, it has a strong advanced driving. We'll speak about that. 4, this car reduces its speed itself when it is raining. You can't speed up. 5, the car has balanced movement. When speed up, you can't feel it. That's speeding over running 200 km in an open road. 6, this car senses if you didn't wear your seatbelt and will tell you to do so when speeding. 7, this car can sense when you are tired or when you are sleeping and tell you to rest. If you continue by the same speed, it turns off the engine and stops. 9, I think it is supposed to be 8, but they said 9. 8. The impact on this picture, it is highly impossible when it comes to this car, and if you know the car, you will never believe it. Right? Okay. Let's look at the sensors. Right now, allow me to talk about accidents that were tracked through vehicle sensors. So I did a research and I was trying to figure out if there are accidents that has been tracked in the past. Because of that, that's how I came across this information to say there has been number of accidents that were tracked through, there has been number of people who were involved in accident that were tracked through the car sensor, not even the tracker of the vehicle. Now, we will also learn the fact that I knew this. When you install a tracker in your car, I didn't know how the tracker will communicate with the vehicle, but I knew that your tracker company can get a real-time data, how you were speeding, all of those things. I knew because I once worked in a company where we were tracked and we were told when you are speeding, you will always see this sign that you are now speeding. It will always reflect that you are now speeding. It turns out that even the sensors of the vehicle can do exactly that. It can determine when you were speeding, how much, look at the speed. Maybe if you were driving at 200 km per hour, it will tell you that. The condition, the weather condition can also be picked up through the sensor of the vehicle. And I'm sure you already know where I'm going, right? Since you already know where I'm going, why don't you start here by just doing this. If you're not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Because to subscribe, it is free. To like the video, it is free. To comment in the comment section below, it is free of charge. To like the video, it is free of charge. You can also join. Click the join button. Become a member of this YouTube channel. You will pay from as little as 20 Rand a month. You can also make use of the Super Thanks button. You can donate from as little as 20 Rand a month as we proceed. Okay, now let's do number one. The sensor, the impact of a sensor in a vehicle is that it detects impact detention. In other words, when there is a crash, there's what we call it a crash sensor, right? When there is a sudden changes or acceleration, or your car hits something, the sensor says something. I know we spoke about it in the past, but this time it goes into details. This report goes into detail. Then I found the following one. This one is very interesting. I want you to remember this. When the car was found in the river, right? Hinop's River, we were told it capsized. It turns out that there's this following sensor. Listen to this. Rollover detention, gyroscopes, and electromagnetic can detect if the vehicle is rolling over. Okay. Then I don't want to say much. Wait for me. Then there is what we call it pre-collision system in the vehicle. And most of you will know this one. Let's get into the pre-collision. It says the radar, lidar, or camera sensors monitor the surrounding to detect potential collision with other vehicle, pedestrians, or obstacles. This system can issue warning, prepare the brakes, or initiate automatic emergency braking to mitigate or prevent an accident before it happens. Again, if you're driving the latest vehicles, by latest I don't mean 2024, even way back, you know this, that when you are getting closer or when you are reversing, for instance, and you're about to hit an object. I was in a Mazda C3, I think it's that Mazda CS3 is the one, yeah, CS3, it was bought around 2016. But when the person is reversing, when they're about to hit an object, the car will. We are talking about those sensors. Even when you are hitting a pedestrian, you see what I'm saying? They also cover a blind spot that I'm not going to go through that blind spot. But here's another interesting one, which is number 2 on the report. The report is I'm referring to the research that I was doing. So then they then issue a report. Number 2, there are bullet points on number 2, the same way as there were bullet points on number 1. Number 2, we call it vehicle malfunction and performance issue, right? The same sensors will tell you when there is a problem in your engine, when there is overheating, when there is oil pressure, when there is, we all know that your car does that. Now, it uses what? The sensors. Let's get into this one. Other cars, those who are driving nice cars, they will tell you, there's even a sensor that tells you that, okay, the tire on your left at the front, or left at the back, or right at the front at the back, there is shortage of air, or air pressure there. Some people know that. There's a sensor for that. Then there is a sensor for brake system. Okay, let's get into this one. Brake system failure. Sensors monitor brake and wear, brake fluid levels, and performance of anti-lock tracking system, ABS, and electronic stability control, ESC. They can detect issues like fading brake or wheel lock up. Some of you will remember this, right? Or some of you will know this, that when you are going through, time and again you need to look, you need to put, what is it called? It's called, I forgot this oil, man, or brake fluid. Yes, brake fluid. So back in the days, on the older cars, we always need to check that. But on the new vehicle, because there's a sensor for that, it tells you that please check your, it uses this word, please check your brake fluid and all the stuff. So we are unpacking the fact that a car that had so much sensors was involved in a shady accident. Don't worry. You will understand as we go down. Then there's a sensor that deals with the battery. A lot of you guys will notice that when you start your vehicle and there's a problem with the battery, it notifies you on the screen. That technology, I forgot when it was implemented, but it gets improving every now and again. So I'm not going to go into that one. We all know that one. Let's go to point number 3. Point number 3 is, look, remember we spoke about the sensor that deals with a human behavior, such as when you are sleeping, when you are doing this and this and this. So then when I was doing this research, they said that the sudden braking or acceleration, for instance, when a person is asleep, so they tend to accelerate unintentional or brake abruptly. Because of that, this will sense that you are asleep. There's a brick for that. It says that accelerometer can track aggressive driving behavior, which can be used by a telematics system for insurance purposes or fleet management. I spoke about the fact that when you are driving, driving other cars, you can see the speed, how you are speeding. You can tell, like, your behavior is monitored. When you're driving some vehicle, your behavior is monitored. You can't speed. It's monitored. You can't speed. You can't do all these things. There's a sensor for that. Okay? And then there's a sensor for, it's called sudden lane changes. Vehicle trajectory monitoring can identify an erratic driving. So when you speak about lane assistance, the vehicle of nowadays, you can drive for a distance while the vehicle is controlling itself on the lane. It's even worse with the new technology. People will literally drive without, look, the car will drive itself, controlling or maneuvering within the lanes, lane assistant. But we're not going to talk much about that, but there is such a technology. And then again, there is what we call it, it's called advanced system use cameras to monitor drivers' eye movements, right? Head positioning and facial expression can detect signs of fatigue or distraction. Okay. If these people were tired, that they find themselves in such a silly accident like that one, that car, we have already spoken about the fact that there was a sensor responsible for that. But today, we are going in depth to explain the sensor, what it does and what it doesn't do, right? Now, let's go to point number 4. Point number 4, we are talking about road environment conditioning. This is where some of you, when you are driving a vehicle, you will notice that that vehicle will tell you about something that is happening ahead of you, right? It uses the GPS to scan the environment. Right, let's get into this one. Slippery road condition wheel speed sensor and traction control system can detect wheel slippage in racing icy or wet road. Some system even temperature sensor can detect potential ice formation ahead. The following one will also help you in South Africa. It makes sense. It's called pothole detection. Detection. Accelerometer and gyroscope can sense vibrations and impact from rough surface, potential identifying potholes. This data can sometimes be shared with other vehicles. If you remember vividly, Volvo created their own system that if you are driving a Volvo, if I'm driving this direction and as I drive, there's an accident that happens in real time. Volvo came up with a system that all Volvo vehicles and trucks and everything will get that communication to say, avoid this road, something has just happened. Now they get a real-time data. I'm just telling you something here. Now let's go to the last one. The last one is called security accidents, right? So that's where you speak about theft, some cars. Volvo, speaking about Volvo, let's talk about Volvo here. Volvo won the World Award at some point, many times, in fact, because their vehicle is way advanced. People struggle to steal Volvo vehicle. They need to hijack it if they had to steal it. But if the person parked a Volvo car here, to think that you can steal that vehicle, hey, it's a mission and a half. So we're not going to speak about that. Let's go to this one. Tracking, it's called vehicle tracking GPS, right? GPS sensor enable the tracking of the stolen vehicle on isolation. Now, let's get into the conclusion now. The conclusion is that these sensors, they have a responsibility to communicate, or they are programmed. In each and every country, they are programmed to communicate with the established system. E.g., if in South Africa there is a registered company with the state where they can tow vehicles, that system would have been fully functional. In America, they have a well-advanced system in terms of towing. But in South Africa, these sensors and everything, what I found was that it reports to the police. It reports to the emergency service. When you are involved in an accident, in fact, without your expectation, without you doing anything, there is what we call it, the sensor that sends the information. Now, when I continued to do this research, I also found that the question that I was asking was that, so what about the car that was in that water? How will that data be stored? What I found was that the data gets stored as it happens. It is stored in real time. For the fact that I said manufacturers uses that data, it means the data is saved somewhere. I'll give an example. I got the information that it takes the information that comes from the sensors. It store that information in a computer box of this vehicle, and then that is stored somewhere in the cloud. Remember, these days we've got cloud storage, cloud what. It is stored in the cloud. So when there is an impact on the actual vehicle, the last information can be retrieved. The last information before maybe the computer was damaged to that extent, the computer box of the vehicle, the last information before all of that happens. Let's say in this case, the car was on the river, inside the river. We know that when it went inside the river, the computer box was not damaged instantly. It took probably a bit of time. I don't know how long does it take for the computer box to be totally damaged. And we don't even know whether it's totally damaged, by the way. But let's assume it was totally damaged. The information prior to the point where it was totally damaged, it is supposed to be stored somewhere. That is where the forensic aspect comes in. Because when I was doing this research, I found this interesting information that they created this system for forensic purposes. They store this data for forensic purposes. And then I heard the Commissioner of South African Police Service saying, hey, this was interesting. He says that now that they have found the car, they will take it for forensic investigation. So we are waiting for the forensic report, but what I've already found was that it is possible to get the data, the real-time data. So then your questions becomes valid to say what happened before that fateful day, before they got into that river, because we don't believe these shenanigans here. I get a comforting report that it is actually possible. You can go do your own research. You will find this report. I get a very comforting report that was done for, in fact, they even go as far as saying this system, it stores this information specifically for forensic purposes so that they can reconstruct everything that would have happened. That word, reconstruction of a crime scene, like that vehicle, there is information that it should be available for the forensic department to investigate and reconstruct what happened prior to the car getting into the river. That, I thought, was more comforting than everything else that I said. Let me repeat. According to this report, all the sensors that are found in the vehicle, the data is stored somewhere. The reason the data is stored is so that when the forensic department is doing their job, VW will hand over the information that was recorded through the sensors, or from the sensors to the computer box, from the computer box to the cloud. So, according to this report, we know that the information is stored somewhere. The information of everything, or for everything that happened prior to the damage or prior to the last signal of the computer box, that information is stored for forensic purposes. So you and I sit here wondering, when are they releasing the report? Because wow, it looks like there's something on that report. Well, that's the research that I did. I thought I was not going to do more videos about this subject. But it turns out that I lied. I will be doing more videos about this. In fact, not more, but there's one that is left. I thought the video that I was about to do, or the video that I said I was going to do, was the last video. But it turns out that now this video comes in. There's a video that I want to show you. Now, your foot, it's a very interesting video. You really want to watch this video. So, for now, let me leave you here.